going to start at 16 and then go to 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What team do we have at 16? I want you to reveal it.
At the 16 seed in the Big Little podcast power rankings, we have Maryland. Again, this could be a little bit of a hating rankings because of the fact that Colorado State was one of my upsets, and that ended up not happening again off of a travel that probably should have been called. But that's besides the point. Maryland is probably the worst team out of the ones that we have left here. I just don't like them that much, and I have them at 16.
Yeah, I don't think that this pick is too far off. I think it's just, I think they can potentially give them a game. Who are they playing again? I'm completely blanking.
Maryland is playing
Florida. Yeah. So I believe that they could potentially be able to give them a game, but I think right now, based off of everything that we've seen, I think that they probably will be the last team on our rankings. And, I'm not exactly putting my life on it that they're going to win that game. All right, let's go to 15. Yeah, go ahead.
One last note on Maryland. They're also playing a Florida team that has the 4th best point differential in an SEC conference. That was one of the best conferences in the league. 16, they average margin of victory was 16 points. So I think that this Maryland take will probably age pretty well, especially if Florida blows them out. So moving on to 15, though, I have little drum roll by myself.
Yep.
I have 15. I have Ole Miss, another team that I don't really see making out of the round of or Sweet 16. Michigan State is probably just gonna be a little bit too much, and I don't know that I like them even over Iowa State. They won pretty convincingly, but I don't see them advancing to the Elite Eight, so I have them at 15.
Yeah, I think part of it is coming from the UNC win in the first round. I think everybody just felt like UNC didn't belong, and some of us got it wrong and felt like UNC was going to show the world that they did belong. And then Iowa State, how high was Iowa State on a lot of people's boards, especially being, a team that was a 3 seed, and maybe you're thinking they are underperforming rather than Ole Miss is beating them handily. So I think that was just kind of the nature of it. So Ole Miss falls at 15. Who do we got at 14?
At 14, we have Purdue, just another team where we mentioned it in the game recaps. They haven't shown me enough against the teams that they've played against. One of those teams that played double-digit teams in both of their rounds against Drake and UNC.
McNeese and High Point.
McNeese and High Point, sorry. That was Texas Tech I was thinking of. We'll get to them later. But Purdue just hasn't shown me enough through their games, and I don't think that they're going to get out of the Sweet 16 either. So we have them sitting at 14.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement. McNeese and High Point is tough to show us anything, and then it's obviously Purdue had a little bit of a stain before last year with Zach Edey, but still kind of wait to see what we have in them. All right, at 13 we have Michigan. I'd love you to explain this first here too.
Yeah, so I think Michigan is one of those picks that is less about the fact that they aren't so good and more about the fact that the teams in front of them are so good. The last 3, it's been more about the team themselves. And this one, I think we're starting to get to the point where the top 12 teams in this are all really, really good basketball teams. A couple of teams that I have upsetting teams, so I need them a little bit higher on my list personally. But I don't think Michigan makes it past Auburn, and I think that they're a really good team. Obviously, they came second, if I'm not mistaken, in the Big Ten this year, and then they won the Big Ten postseason, Big Ten tournament. So really good team, but I have them sitting at 13.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan makes it past Auburn here too, but this does feel a little bit low. So I certainly understand if anybody has some issues with how low this team is. They've been shooting well from the 3-point range as of late, so they've certainly been putting together some wins. But, we'll have them at 13. All right, 12 is Arkansas. Just came off of a huge win against St. John's. What do we got them there?
Yeah, so a little bit earlier in this episode, I literally said that Arkansas was going to win their game in the Sweet 16. So why are they sitting at 12? They're sitting at 12 because of the fact that a team can win, and I could like them to win. But just I think if Arkansas played their game 10 times out of 10, they probably win 4 times. And I'm hoping that the Texas Tech game will be one of those 4 games. I think that that's one of the scenarios where Arkansas could win, but they could easily lose. Yeah. They're coming off a really big win against St. John. So I like them a lot. But again, this is one of those teams that is really good, but there's so many teams in front of them that are also high caliber teams that I think that 12 probably suits them a little bit more. And I could see any argument saying that Michigan could be above them as well.
Well, they just got Flan back, and then obviously they're missing their leading scorer. I think it's a team that maybe is playing above where they should potentially be at, and a lot of people didn't respect St. John's. So I understand why we have them here. But like I said, with the Michigan pick, I can understand why people might want them a little bit higher because they feel like they've shown something extra in the last couple of games that might warrant that. But yeah, the teams ahead of them now are going to start getting pretty good. At 11, we got Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, a good. I mean, they're all really good teams, but
Yeah.
one of the better teams in the Big 12 this season. I mean, I don't have them winning their matchup either, so that's why they're sitting. I have the team right below them beating them, which I think is a little funny. But I guess I was making these, and again, I said 6 times out of 10 Arkansas. I mean, Texas Tech wins. 4 times out of 10 Arkansas wins. I think in general that is enough to put them a slot above. And just in general, if you had to rank these teams coming in, I think that Texas Tech gets that nod. And I don't think that they played like terribly enough during the first 2 rounds. They definitely haven't played well, but they haven't played terribly enough to warrant them being under them. Again, I think Arkansas is going to win, so maybe I could just flip those. But I have Texas Tech at 11.
Yeah, and you know what? Texas Tech beat UNC Wilmington and Drake, 2 double-digit seeds as well. So that might be one that I would potentially have switched, but it's our list still. We both claim it, and it's just how we compromised in a sense too. All right, number 10 is Arizona.
Arizona, I have at 10. I think that it might look a little bit better if Duke beats them by double digits, because that's just something that Duke's been doing all season. Arizona is a good team. Caleb Love is an outstanding March Madness player, but I can put them any higher than 10, and I think the rest of the list will speak for itself. I also, man, I think that is so interesting that the Texas Tech and Arkansas, that 11-12 thing is definitely could have just switched those, but
Yeah, we might just switch them now. We might just say that they're switched now.
hey, at 12 we'll have Texas Tech, and at 11 we'll have Arkansas. How about that?
And then 10 Arizona, and then 9 we'll have BYU. But BYU was your upset pick.
BYU is my upset pick. I think that they're better than all the teams below them that we just listed off. But
and even Alabama, who's right ahead of them too.
yeah. Maybe not directly ahead of them this time, but
Yeah.
I think that this is one of those scenarios where Alabama is a really, really good team. They obviously scored the most team. Every team, really good team, but they scored the most points in the country this season. Alabama did, and I think that this is another scenario where if they play 10 times out of 10, BYU maybe scratched out 4 or 3 of them, and I think that's not enough for me to put them higher than Alabama, which has been all really good all season, higher than them in the power rankings. But I do personally think that BYU wins that game.
So I was on the other end of that upset. I was picking, or it wasn't really an upset, but I was on the other end of that game, and I picked VCU to upset, and I had them going deeper in the tournament. I was so impressed with the way that BYU plays. I truthfully, look, not somebody who watches college basketball every single night, going from the to the first part of the tip off of the beginning of the season to conference championship games. I'm not watching everything, so I wasn't really familiar with BYU. Just 100% straight up, and they seriously impressed me. And then obviously they beat Wisconsin in a very, very close game in the round of 32. So you have to give it up. I think they're a very talented team. Who do we have at 8?
At 8, we have Kentucky, another team that I don't have making it out, but a good 3 seed. They're again, Tennessee, I think will be too much for them, but I think they're properly placed at 8, right in the middle of the pack.
All right, let's speed it up a little bit. We'll move to 7, Alabama, the team that is losing to BYU. Why are they where they are?
Alabama's losing to BYU just because they are where they are because they have too many holes, I think, relative to the teams above them. Defensively, they definitely just let up way too many points. Obviously, they can score with the best of them, but they can also give up as many points as to anybody. Like Robert Moore scored 81 against them, so I think where they're at 7 is pretty rightfully placed.
Number 6, we got Michigan State.
Michigan State definitely cracks down a lot harder on defense than Alabama does. They have, I think, an interesting stat about Michigan State. I mentioned it earlier in their in like just the game pick that we were doing for them. Their leading scorer only averages 12 points a game, which is crazy because they average 80 points a game as a team. They're really good on defense. I think that they're one of the top 6 teams, and I think they'll be in the Elite 8.
Number 5 is Tennessee.
Tennessee, the team that being Kentucky just a few spots down. I think they made it to the SEC final or SEC tournament final. We're one of the top 4 teams in the SEC all season long. I had the best conference in basketball. You'll see a lot of SEC over the next couple picks. So I think that in that top little bunch between Florida, Auburn, and Tennessee might come third out of those 3, but Tennessee's still a great team.
Number 4 is Houston.
I just couldn't. If anyone's paying attention, we only have 1 seeds left. I think that going into this tournament, Houston was my weakest number 1 seed, and that's not to say that they aren't a really great team. I watch a lot of the Big 12. I've seen Houston in action. They're one of the most suffocating defenses in all of the Big 12. Force a lot of turnovers. Great defensive team, and they can score as well. But Kelvin Sampson, one of the best head coaches in all of NCAA basketball, but I couldn't put them ahead of any of the other 1 seeds in my opinion. So they're sitting there at 4.
All right. Who are the 1 seeds that are left in your top 3?
We'll start with 3. I have Auburn. Auburn 30 wins the season, a great season for them. Janai Broom stepped up as one of the 2 best basketball players in all of college basketball. Again, we mentioned how deep they are. I think that Auburn can be any of these top 4 teams. I think that the national champion will come from the 1 seeds or any of these top 4 teams. And I think that Auburn has a shot of doing it too. There's not much that separates these top 3, but I have Auburn at 3.
Who do you got at 2?
At 2, I have Florida right above them. It flip-flops. I think that this is one of those teams where I've been making the analogy out of 10 games. I think that legitimately any of these 4 teams could go 5-5 in a 10-game split. So I like Florida a little bit more. I think that they have a little bit, like, from top to bottom, I just like Florida a little bit more. So I have them at 2. But
so that leaves us with Duke at number 1. Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick. Duke, the number 1 overall team in our Sweet 16 power rankings.
Yeah, what can you say about Duke? They've been putting on a clinic all season long. Again, we mentioned it 2 or 3 times now. 21.4, the best point differential in all of college basketball this season. They've been absolutely hammering the teams that they've been playing. Cooper Flagg hasn't had a standout game yet, and they've still won comfortably. A lot of the auxiliary pieces are stepping up for them. So the fact that it feels like Duke hasn't played they haven't played their best game of the tournament yet, and they're still winning comfortably. I think that Duke has shown a lot in this tournament, and I think they've shown a lot all season. I think that they're comfortably number 1.